Hi, in this video I will talk to you about my notes from December from 2012 before I got Baker acted. They're right here in my iPod, and I made like two other videos on these notes. I call it the formula for success, and it says count your blessings on video 1, and this one it says see and accept your opportunities. Every day God sends us people, thoughts, opportunities, ideas, and you're supposed to see the hidden picture or the message that God has for you. And with that, let me make this brighter so I can see. Alright, so few humans are aware of their God-given talents. Perhaps you have a situation like mine where you have a good dad or a bad dad, or no dad is, I think, a bad dad. I saw him 5 times in my life. But when I said this to one man who was like a pastor, but he sold life insurance, but he knew so much about God, much more than me, a hyper person, hyper, energetic, a go-getter, a salesman, Silim in Honduras. And he said, I told him, I only saw my dad 5 times in my life. And then he turned to me and said, I never saw him. I never saw my dad. Then I went like, oh boy, there's always somebody with a better story than you have, or a worse story. Or for instance, I had a girlfriend once. Hi, Isabel. And I said, my friend Alex and I didn't know about it, but I fell in love with this girl that worked at Walgreens when I was a teen. And I used to go over there to buy a Snickers bar just to go say hi to her. And then I told my friend Alex about her, and he said, Jovita? And yes, I said, that's her, Jovita. And he says, I had sex with her, Daniel, but you wouldn't like her. And now my friend Alex, he had his father's car, which was a 4x4 Bronco in Chicago, with music and all of that stuff, whereas I was on foot. So he told me she takes drugs, Daniel. So I told Isabel this story about how I had missed out on Jovita. And of course, Isabel told me this story. She said, de lo que te salvó, how your friend Alex saved you from Jovita. I still remember Jovita. My goodness, she was beautiful. But oh well, she was somebody else's woman. And my friend, that's why sometimes I don't have any friends. I would have some friends, but I wouldn't introduce them to my girlfriends, and I wouldn't tell them about which girl I like. But what is yours is yours. So don't cry about, oh, this guy got my girlfriend, or the girl I liked, this guy is out with him, who is my best friend. But everybody, your life is already written. That is, you're acting it out right now, and you're making mistakes and so on. But God already knew, in my opinion, what the end result of your life was. But still, He lets you live your life, because God is all-knowing. He knows everything. Like, I used to brag about my intelligence and how I could defeat this spouse in an argument, because if she uses the word always, there's bound to be a case where I don't always, an example, yell at you or think you're a bad person. Sometimes I think you're a good person. But You never helped me. All right, I could come up with one where I did help you. All right, all right. When did I help the spouse? Well, every day I babysit her kids while she's at work. How about that? All right, so in the book, The Science of Getting Rich, Chapter 12, it's written by Mr. Waddles. Every day is a successful day or not. Do not leave for tomorrow any work that can be done today. Nothing is trivial. Do one thing, but do it right. Every action is either weak or strong. Chapter 13. Get good tools, but also use them in the right way. Different strokes for different folks. How about that? That's from another book. It's actually The 1 Minute Manager by Ken Blanchard. I read it long ago. Different strokes for different folks. For instance, with my son, I can bond with him by just talking to him about Jet Li or Bruce Lee or somebody in martial arts. With my daughter, she doesn't like martial arts, apparently. All right? I might have to play basketball with her, even though I don't like playing basketball with her, for several reasons. One, the ball could go into the neighbor's yard. Two, nobody swept the floor. I gotta go do something. Nobody swept the floor. Three, it reminds me, every time I see that basketball hoop, it reminds me that the spouse bought this basketball hoop for $100 instead of buying a swimming pool. And I know my mother would have really enjoyed that swimming pool. And myself. Those small ones. But I go play basketball with the daughter. Different strokes for different folks. What do you need to be successful in music? What do you need to be successful in parenting? Never hurry. I'll stop there. Never hurry. That's when you fall off your rollerblades, like I did. It's different when you're just rollerblading and you don't have to be anywhere, but when you're going somewhere on your rollerblades, it's a different type of skating, and you do fall down. You could. What does it take for you to become a better dad? Look at the better dads around you, or re-examine what you want and what your children want. Now, if your kids want just to watch internet and all that, and your spouse says, yes, go ahead, watch 10 episodes in a row, then you have to find a creative solution to this problem. And by not working, the spouse does not earn enough money to pay the electricity, the internet bill. I had told her long ago that, I make suggestions, right? We don't need a phone. You can cut the internet bill in half if we get rid of the phone. You have a cell phone, that's enough. But of course, the spouse is very much like Pharaoh. She's very hard-headed. And she said no. But now she can't pay. And she's accustomed to my mother paying the bills for her, but this time my mother didn't do it. My mother, I think, is planning on moving out. I read the proverb and I told my mother about it. The proverb says, "Do not abandon your mother in her old age." because I was planning on shipping my mother, not that I have any money, but I was going to send her to her brother in Honduras. The doctor brother? Yeah, send her to the doctor brother. Because all she wants to do is sleep. But by my saying to all the relatives, not that one, I didn't include him, but I said, I'm going to have to put her in a nursing home. Because otherwise I could get thrown in jail for elderly abuse and neglect if I don't, like the one time I didn't open the door for the nurse, because I wasn't expecting anybody. And my mother had not spoken to me since Friday, and it was like on Tuesday or something. And I wasn't expecting anybody, so I didn't open the door. So the nurse wrote it down that son refused to open the door for the nurse. And so they were going to put me in jail for that. I mean, they could, they could write that down and put me in jail. So at that moment, I told the spouse, we gotta get rid of her. We gotta put her in a nursing home. This way, I don't get thrown in jail for not opening the door. That's neglect. Protect yourself. But what my response, the spouse, of course, took the opposite. No, don't throw your mother in jail. And I said, look, spouse, you don't even move anything. Grandma, she could walk by and slip on anything. You have so many things in the way of getting to the bathroom. That's why she's trying to get up in the middle of the night and pee on a garbage can and fall. And she fell down that way. She didn't even take off her underwear. You know that? I mean, she's becoming very childish, my mother. And then she doesn't want me to call the ambulance. But I should call the ambulance, because otherwise it says that I am neglecting medical care to my mother. It took us like an hour to pick her up from the floor. We had to put a dolly underneath her, and I couldn't pick her up. I only picked up one arm and the spouse the other arm, and then we only lifted her like 2 inches maybe off the floor, maybe 3. It had to be about 3 inches so we could get the dolly under her. Alright, be better than I am.